Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Impact Unveiled, Advancing Diversity in Research. I'm Danica, DRN's Operations Manager, and I'm honored to be your host for today's virtual networking experience. First, I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your very busy schedules to join us. I see a lot of clinical research professionals, decision makers, and advocates gathering here demonstrates the growing commitment to advancing diversity in clinical trials. As many of you know, Diverse Research Now has been working tirelessly to bridge the gap between underrepresented communities in clinical research. Today's event is designed to give you an inside look at this critical work and provide opportunities to connect with others who share our passion with health equity. Let me quickly walk you through what we have planned over the next 2 hours. We'll begin with an engaging showcase presentation highlighting our innovative programs and community engagement initiatives, followed by a Q&A. Then we'll move into networking breakout rooms for smaller group discussions. And we'll conclude with an important fireside chat about best practices for community engagement in clinical research. Dina, you could go to the next slide to give them a preview of that agenda. So you'll see our agenda there, just letting more people in. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce our executive director and the driving force behind Diverse Research Now, Dr. Renata Jones. Dr. Rand, as many of you know, brings over 2 decades of invaluable experience in clinical research to our mission. Her journey began at Rush University in Chicago, where she worked in Alzheimer's disease research. It was during this time that she witnessed firsthand the stark health disparities affecting the Black community, an experience that would shape her life's mission. With a doctorate in health science and a deep understanding of clinical research, Dr. Jones has dedicated her career to bridging the gap between communities of color and vital research opportunities. Her vision isn't just about increasing diversity in clinical trials. It's about creating lasting change in health outcomes for underserved communities.
Okay.
Though she's traded the windy city of Chicago for the sunny shores of San Diego, where she now lives with her family, her commitment to health equity remains unwavering. Under her leadership, Diverse Research Now has become a beacon of hope and change in our community. I'm excited to have Dr. Rand share more about our innovative approaches to advancing diversity in clinical research and our upcoming initiatives, including our Spring into Action Gala and our second annual Community Clinical Trial Health Forum this May. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Renata Jones. Dr. Rand, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you reading all of that.
Of course.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to get right into it because it's this is a networking session and we're going to chat a little bit. But before we do all that, we wanted to really share with you all the impact that Diverse Research Now it has done so far, our impact so far. So I want to start with our mission and our vision and just share with you who we are. If you don't know, please get to know us. We have started Diverse Research Now in 2023. I'm just going to read it from here. We also can be known as DRN, and we are a nonprofit organization committed to expanding participation in clinical research by educating and empowering underrepresented communities. So through community engagement, advocacy, and accessible resources, we bridge the gap between researchers and populations that have been historically not included to ensure proper representation in clinical trials. We want to create a future where clinical research includes people from all backgrounds and leading to more inclusive healthcare solutions and improved health outcomes for everyone. Next slide. Here, so why you're here? It's probably different reasons why you're here, but we wanted to share with you why you matter to us. Diverse Research Now is bridging the gap between communities and clinical research, and your partnership makes all of this possible. As I said, we are a nonprofit organization, and we want to share our impact on how we are creating opportunities for communities to learn about clinical research and bridging awareness to studies fostering inclusive research. So we invite you to explore how your support can help drive health equity and trust in clinical trials. So your sponsorships and investments create lasting change in health equity and clinical research diversity. Next slide. So to share with you some of our activities. So we started in 2023 and we have been working. We have been doing a lot in the community. We really do believe that this is our way to kind of normalize research in the community and normalize this conversation in the community. Is we have to be out there in the community doing these events, and this is how we engage with our community. It's the number one thing that we focus in on. So these are just a list of our community activities that we have done. And I'll just go through really quickly. You can go back to that slide, just really quickly. Some of the events. These are, so we did a book club where we read The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. That was our way of really sharing with the community about Miss Henrietta Lacks' story. She's the Black woman who is known as the mother of biomedical research. And her story matters. And so we wanted to read her. We thought that would be a fun thing to do in the community, to have a book club reading that book. Some other things that we've done is we've done community informationals. And what those are is just really educating the community about what clinical research is and the whole process and why it's important to communities. And, this is how we find medications that are going to work for everyone. The community doesn't always bring that all together, but we share that information out in the community so they can understand why this is so important, this topic. We've done community informationals in San Diego, Chicago, and Atlanta so far, but we definitely have a goal to grow those informationals. We have done live conversationals with experts in their healthcare field. And this is our way of really just giving back to the community, teaching them, sharing with them important health information that they might need. This is just that, again, a way that we engage with them, continue to engage with them. We also started an annual event called the Community Clinical Trial Health Forum that we started last year. You'll hear more about that later. But we started that event, and there, again, engaging in the community. We bring researchers and community members together at that event, give the community a chance to speak with the researchers, ask questions, engage. And then we have other community resources there at that event as well. Again, serving the community, giving back to the community. Our Chow and Chats, this is a event that is very similar to a lunch and learn, but we put a fun, name to it so it can be memorable in the community. And so we have these Chow and Chats where we feed the community and we educate them and chat with them about a health condition. Another thing that we have is our podcast called Voices of Inclusive Research. We started that this year. And what we're doing there is we're giving the community a voice in this space. So we're bringing on community members, thought leaders, advocates, any people in the field that are really passionate about this, or have something to say about research. And this gives pharma and a lot of you on the call a chance to really hear what the community is saying about research and how they feel. So I know that it has been important in our field right now. Other things that we do, again, we're all about giving back. So we like to give back during the holidays. We have Thanksgiving grocery giveaways to families who have participated in research studies. If they need groceries during the holidays, we want to help share groceries with them. And then we have a Christmas toy giveaway where that is for pediatric research participants. And we like to, again, giving back to the community in a special way. Our clinical trial current events, we do these on a weekly basis where we're sharing with the community something that's current in clinical trials that might not be in your everyday news, like 10 o'clock news, but the community needs to know about it, right? So we like to share current events, things that are being discovered, things that are happening in this field. We also have t-shirts and we have a coloring book as well on the next page. So these are just pictures of the things that I just mentioned. The book there we read. This is a picture. The second picture here is a picture of the Osuka team at our last clinical trial health forum. They were one of our sponsors, so we have their picture there. The Good Science is Inclusive Science, our t-shirt. This is a flyer from our Thanksgiving food giveaway, our podcast logo and name. And then this is our coloring book. Our coloring book can be found on Amazon. So you just type in diverse research now, research in color, it will come up. I think it's $11.99 on Amazon. So if you need those in your doctor's offices, maybe that'll be a good thing to add. A Christmas flyer giveaway, and then our challenge chat free ticket example. Okay, you can go to the next screen. And so we wanted to share with you kind of our reach from 2024. Of course, these numbers grow every day. We really are working on, getting exposing ourselves to as many people as we can. So our reach is, I'll just go through our events. So our challenge chats we had last year, and I don't have the numbers on here from our community informationals, but we did a few of those at the beginning of last year. And at the end, toward the second half of last year, we started our challenge chat events. And so those, we were able to get about 4 events in the year. And we reached about 200 people. Our annual event was about 80 people. We're looking to do a lot more than that this year, since the community is learning about us. And then our meetings, book club, paint party. So I didn't even mention our paint party. So we had a paint party where the community and people who attended came out, and they had they were able to paint like science tools, and it was really fun. Our trivia night was super fun. What we did is we put out questions to the community, like we gave them the trivia questions so they can kind of learn and educate themselves about research and trivia about research, because I don't know, like the regular typical person might not know about these research, this research trivia, but that was our way of helping to educate the community. So we asked them to learn about those questions, learn those questions and come to trivia night and win cash. So they won cash that night. So we're going to do that again, actually. We really like to keep our events fun for the community. That is how we're going to continue to keep people involved, keep people interested. And so we really try to make them fun. So the grand total of 780 people attended our events, and I'm sure it's been more than that. And then we also do a community health and resource fair here in San Diego every month. Once a month, where we even meet even more people and share our mission to even more people. And then these are our digital media numbers over here on the right. And I wanted to share some of our partners. You can find all this information on our website, but just here is a list of some of our partners who have partnered with us. Now, our partners have either partnered with us for single projects. We might have partnered with them just for one project, or they have become a member of ours where they work with us for a whole year. So our membership is actually a membership for a year, where we work with you for the entire year. So this is that list. And then getting into our 2025 plans and goals, since we have some big things coming up. So we will continue our community chow and chat events. We will continue the one that we had been having in 2024. So our chow and chat event is in City Heights area of San Diego, and we have that event on the fourth Thursdays of the month from 6 to 8 p.m. And then this year, we were so happy to have start a partnership with Molina Healthcare, where we were their one-stop resource center. We were able to start a new Chow and Chat in Chula Vista, California. And that Chow and Chat is dedicated to brain health. And so we will be there every month, every second Wednesday of the month, teaching and educating the community about brain health and feeding them a delicious meal. And that's again the second Wednesdays of each month. We will be having our first fundraising gala May 16th, 2025. That is a Friday night. We hope to see everyone there. Second, and then we're having our second annual community clinical trial health forum the next day. So that's going to be a great weekend. If you want to fly into San Diego to be with us, you can. We have a hotel. The gala is at a hotel, so we do have special pricing for that. Where you can get a hotel room there, come to the gala, dress up, and have fun. And then the next day, come be in the community with us at the Community Clinical Trial Health Forum. So we would love to see you all there. We will continue our podcast episodes. If you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us, info@diverseresearchnow.com, and we will reach out back out to you to set up a time to speak and get you on the show. We also will continue our Thanksgiving and Christmas giveaways this year. Next slide. Oh, okay. So the sponsorship opportunities, everything that I have told you about, we need your help. We need sponsors. So again, we are a nonprofit organization, and this is how we kind of make all this happen is through sponsorships. So you could sponsor a Chow and Chat with us for 1 month. You could sponsor a podcast episode for a month or more. You could be a sponsor or a donor for our gala and forum. You can either be a top level sponsor or just or donate to the event and come to be with us in the community and share in the community and be one of our researchers that talk with the community on stage and engage with our community. You can also help to sponsor our giveaways at the end of the year, the Thanksgiving and Christmas toy giveaway. And you can use this QR code or you can just email us. The partnership and membership opportunities. So this is when our partners and our members are gaining visibility as a company when they work with us. And so they gain that visibility as a company committed to health equity in clinical trials. So because we do share with your company's logo and your what you do on our website, we share postings about you with our community. And we do a few things that we do to kind of share your mission and what the work that you're doing. We build meaningful connections. You're going to be building meaningful connections with diverse communities through our trusted network. Again, we have a trusted network. Again, they're seeing that, hey, your company is working and your company is dedicated to health equity. So this is all good things. This is a way, partnering with us is a way to enhance your reputation by aligning with a nonprofit driving change in underrepresented populations. And you have access to insights into diverse communities, needs, and effective engagement strategies. So these are all, yes, things to consider when you are considering to work with us, and we would love that. Okay. So, getting into some of our long-term goals, we have huge long-term goals because we understand that our mission and our vision is not going to happen overnight. We understand we're in this for the long game. This is not going to be easy. This is not a short thing. For the life of our organization, we will be working on this mission to see change. So one of the things that we would love to do is to conduct research pre-screens in the community. This is our way of really pre-screening as many people as we can in the community to see what studies that they possibly can potentially go into. We want to get that off the ground for sure. We want to operate our safe space and study buddy programs. I haven't went into our programs. We haven't had the opportunity to operate our programs in the capacity we want to, but we have completed safe space meetings in the community. When we're out in the community and people want to learn more and go a little more deeper about research, we set up safe spaces where we talk with them one-on-one and we get to learn and know about them a little bit more. And also our study buddy program is where we want to have advocates that will go to visits with the participant. And this is all these events, these programs are to help eliminate hesitation and uncomfortability, in this space. Because we know that the community is hesitant, diverse communities are hesitant to be in research. And this is our way of really like walking them through the process, supporting them the best way we can so they can be more comfortable. We also want to open a research community centers in diverse communities. Like really a goal of ours is to actually have there's community centers and those are like staples in diverse communities. A lot of times, that everyone knows to go to the community center to, exercise or you like get information about the community, or they have like local news there. And it's a place for a gathering. And honestly, I think it would be great to have something like that, a community center dedicated to research where community members can come and learn about research or find a study or and other resources as well. Because we always want to include other resources because we understand that there's a lot of things going on in the community. It's not just all about what we want or our mission. We want to again serve the community, and then we also want to be a national level organization. So that is our long-term goals. Okay, and so that's toward the end of our my presentation, but I wanted to share with you all a beautiful picture here of our DRN board of directors. Yeah, this is how our organization is even still standing. These wonderful people are really helping to get our mission out there and they're working tirelessly to help our mission go forth. And so we wanted to just share with you who they are. Okay, next. And then be a part of change. We are on LinkedIn. Follow our Instagram. We always have fun things on there. If you're on Instagram or if you're on Facebook, please follow us. We really want to like bring some upliftingness to this topic in the community and really share with the community like, hey, this is important. And so we like to again try to get information out there as much as possible, but make it fun. And so did I do good with the time? Okay, so
About
yes.
5 minutes for questions.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions right now about that presentation? I don't know if I see questions. If you guys can help me.
We don't have questions for now in the chat, but we've been talking that people happy to exchange emails and continue collaborating. And we are sharing our contacts, of course, so they can always ask us questions, maybe later if needed.
Yep, sure. If things come up, if you have any questions, please just reach out to us. How do we purchase gala tickets? Yes, so we have a link on our website. You can go straight to our website. We have a actual page there for the gala that tells you all about the gala and gives you opportunity to purchase a ticket. And also it tells you more about the form as well. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the link is in the chat. Any other questions before we move on to our networking session? I believe that is what's next.
Just a little comment. I just put the link where you can directly can buy the ticket. So that one is the one where you can actually purchase that right
Okay.
away.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
So I am delighted to introduce our distinguished panelists for today's fireside chat. Each are DRN board members and bring unique insights into advancing diversity in clinical research and community engagement. First, we have Dr. Dung Trin joining us. He's the chief medical officer of the Healthy Brain Clinic and board member for Alzheimer's Orange County. Dr. Trin's commitment to accessible healthcare extends beyond the clinic. He's the founder of Tongue Out Medical Missions and shares valuable healthcare insights as host of Health Talks with Dr. Trin. His extensive experience in brain health and community outreach brings valuable perspectives to our discussion. We also have Samise Daly. She's a family nurse practitioner with over 3.5 decades of experience across hospital, community, and primary care settings. Her innovative work in developing faith-based health programs and life crisis coaching has made healthcare more accessible to diverse communities. As a frequent speaker at national health conferences, she brings deep insights into community engagement and health education. Next, I'm pleased to welcome Dr. Tamiko McGee-Rogers, Associate Director for Recruitment and Strategic Initiatives at the Global Alzheimer's Platform Foundation. With more than 15 years dedicated to aging research, Dr. McGee-Rogers leads crucial initiatives to increase representation in Alzheimer's and neurodegenerative diverse research. Her work directly addresses the challenges we'll be discussing today. Completing our panel is Dr. Winnie Pack, whose 20 plus years in pharmaceutical and biotechnology have been marked by remarkable achievements in clinical trial recruitment. Her expertise spans from laboratory research to global medical affairs, with particular success in reducing recruitment timelines. With a PhD in neurosciences from UC San Diego, Dr. Pack brings both scientific rigor and practical experiences to our discussion. Together, these experts represent decades of experience in advancing health equity and improving clinical trial diversity. They'll be sharing insights from their work on the front lines of community engagement and clinical research. So without further ado, let's begin our discussion. I'm going to go ahead and pin our panelists. So let's start the conversation with the common scenario many of us face. You're at a community event and someone brings up the Tuskegee study, expressing deep distrust of clinical trials. How do you respond while acknowledging historical trauma and building trust?
Is it up for grabs? Well, I'll go on in because that does come up, and rightfully so. And so I think the first thing is to acknowledge the mistakes, acknowledge that the mistakes were horrific and very detrimental to those involved, as well as the predecessors. You know, we are still reaping the ramifications of those mistakes. One of the things that I do after acknowledging, the mistakes that have been made is to also bring forth that those mistakes have led to safety measures, that those mistakes have not gone unnoticed, and that it is needed for diversity in research and for participants to feel safe. There are just tons of safety measures that those types of incidents are very unlikely to happen with rigorous research and accountability, but that diversity is needed. So if a participant is a candidate to participate in a research project, I do encourage them to look into it. I thank God for diverse research now that we can walk with those people and walk alongside with them, have them to ask the right questions and to be able to know what they need to be looking out for, what is a reputable study to be a participant in. Also, I think that the key is always being honest, look them in the eye and say, you're right. It was horrible. Don't try to gloss over anything. And yeah, I think that's usually the way I handle when that subject does come up.
Thank you for that. Really good points there. Anybody else want to add to that?
Yes, I'll just add, she did a great, thank you for that, because that is great summary of what you should do and how you should approach it. I would also say to make sure they understand the informed consent. If they're at that, if they're in that stage of the process, ask all the questions you have. You need to, the participant needs to be fully informed before they volunteer, right? And I think it's important for them to understand it's a volunteer. You're acting as a volunteer. You don't have to if you don't want to, that you're a volunteer. Because I think when we talk about Tuskegee, right, there are no consent forms and they weren't volunteers, right? So like you said, changes have been made, right? Great strides have been made to make sure the process is safe, and hopefully we have earned their trustworthiness, right, now that we've put these processes into place. So that's what I would add. But yeah,
That was
we did it
exactly
all the
what I was
time.
going to say, Tomiko. Yeah, I mean, it is a voluntary activity, right? And they need to know that. And we
Yeah.
put together the institution review boards to
Right.
try and ensure as much as we can that this is a safeguarded endeavor, and that they can drop out even if they decide to join. They can drop out anytime. That if they feel like, nope, this is not for me, they can drop out. And so however we can make them feel comfortable, that we just need to be transparent with them.
Trust. Yeah, before anyone will trust your product and services, do they first trust you?
And that kind of piggybacks, Dr. Trent, how do you build trust? Or, can you give some ways to how we should show that we could be trusting in that relationship?
I've always looked at what I do as patient-centered versus research-centered. And there's a difference. Research-centered is when the participant comes to you and all you talk about is the details of the study, right? Double-blind, placebo-controlled, informed consent. That's research-centered, when the main focus of that conversation is about the study itself. Patient-centered starts with a question like, why are you here? What are your concerns, right? What are your fears? What brings you here? Why did you sign up on Facebook to participate in this? And quite honestly, most folks are there because they're concerned with their condition, whether it's a lupus study or an Alzheimer's study or whatever, right? Whatever that disease state is. They want answers and they're looking for hope to the condition that they have. And so if you focus on the why are you here part and discuss their concerns, their why, and if you provide in the bulk of that initial pre-screen or consultations, right, information that can empower them for their own health condition. That could be education, that can be, the 14 modifiable risk factors for Alzheimer's prevention, that can be lifestyle strategies for reducing, a lupus flare. If you provide them information that they can take home and empower them to kind of take their health conditions to their own hands, that's value for the patient, right? You want that patient walking away with value, whether they are a candidate or not for clinical trials. That's patient-centered care. Clinical trial care is simply, this is our study, you're a candidate, you're not a candidate, and that's it. It ends there, right? And so if you really want to build trust, you got to go toward patient-centered type of conversations as opposed to a conversation where you're only talking about the clinical trial. That's kind of my take on it.
I think you hit totally nail on the head. I love your approach and, finding out about the person and their motivations and letting that inform your conversation to show that you care. Anybody want to add on to that before we move to the next scenario?
I think that was, very head on. I'd also like to add with that, your mannerism, your approach while you're having that conversation means a lot. A lot of people read between the lines, and it's not what you say, but it's how you say it. And so, being relaxed, taking your time, and not asking, do you have any questions? Ask, what questions can I answer for you? And pause and let them, if they didn't come with a question, just try to solicit, like Dr. Tran said, focusing on them, focus, tapping into what don't you know about them. We know a lot about the research that we're doing, but what they want to know, that they're cared for, right? And so tapping into what's going on in their head and being in a posture where you're going to let them know, no matter what they ask you, you're going to give them the truth as much as you know how. And if you don't know, always be honest and say, well, let me get back with you. I'm not sure about that, but that's a really good question, and I will get back with you and get back with them. And so I think that's all a part of trust building.
Right. I think
And if
the importance is the getting back with them when you said you were going to get back to them.
Right. Exactly.
Follow through. Yeah. Because
Follow through.
you do not break that trust. If you promise to do something, do it, because
That's
that is
right.
the beginning of it. Yeah.
That's right.
And if I can just add, this may be the first step in the process of even trying to learn about research. So if you do, right, drop the ball and don't follow up, you just missed that opportunity, right?
Yep.
So that's why follow through is so important.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Very good points, y'all. Thank you for that. Okay, we're going to move to a cultural competency scenario. So, you're explaining a clinical trial to a potential participant through an interpreter, but you notice the family seems hesitant and isn't asking questions. What strategies would you use to ensure effective communication and cultural sensitivity?
So basically, it's encouraging them to open a dialogue, right? To figure out what their cultural issues are, and what their values are. I know that, for example, in the Asian community, if grandma, grandpa is diagnosed with cancer, oftentimes the family's like, we don't want them to know, don't say anything, right? Because we don't want to mess up their mental health with the few years they have. So that's a cultural conversation with that. But it's really just having that conversation to dig out what their values are, and then aligning your communication to address those values, because different cultures sometimes have different values or different values that are high on their list, and really to try to dig out what those values are. And yeah, and then just communicating in a way that addresses their values while at the same time, getting them to participate in research.
Very good points. Bringing up values, that's, and aligning your values with theirs is a very great, insightful point. Anyone else want to add to that? As a follow-up question, I ask, how do you verify understanding when working across language barriers? What are some cues?
I wanted to add to what Dr. Tran was saying. My last primary care assignments, I would say, maybe about 75% of the time I was using translators. So one of the things, like Dr. Trent said, is knowing you don't have to be an expert in diversity, but knowing something, and realizing that everyone doesn't fit in the box. So just realizing that as well, but having some idea of a person's culture is very helpful. One of the things that I found very helpful is I learned keywords in the majority of the languages that I encountered. So I could greet in Vietnamese, I could greet in Arabic, I could greet in Espanol. And so that coming in the door lowered some apprehensions. Um, so that's just a little tip. And I know we can't always do that, but that is very helpful. If you're in an area where you have a population of people that speak a different language than you, learn their language as much as you can. It was kind of funny because I would know the greeting so well, they'd start talking to me. I was like, no, that's all I know. But it would break the ice. It would break the glacier, and their guard would come down, and so that was just a shoe in to the trust, right? And it would be very difficult at times to read the room to see if there was understanding, but I had a really good relationship with the translators, and they knew to translate exactly what was said, and in both ways. So I would trust the translator was translating exactly what was said, and I watched for body language, question marks in the brow, and would tap into that. Do you have a question? Is everything okay? So I think that helped out a lot.
And I think Valerie brought up a good point about, I think what you would do isn't going to really bring up any issues with, them feeling like you're mocking them in any way, right? And it's being very mindful of, your body language, and it's out of respect. You're trying to really connect with them, and then they would get a sense of that, with your body language and your tone and things like that. But that is obviously very important. You don't want to alienate them from the very beginning. But then also, I find what's really important is also just asking them, what is important to you culturally? Like even within a culture, we could be very different, right? So not all Chinese people are going to react the same way, and it could be very, within a family, how they want to be treated within that family, and how they want to take care, like within like the Alzheimer's space, how do they want to take care of their elders? Those are all very different, and it can be, with even within a culture, be very different. And so within a family, you want to really understand how do they want to deal with it, and how do they want to, like, if the family member qualifies for a trial, is that something they're interested in? Is that something the family would be willing to support? Those are all questions that you need to gather from the family themselves, and not kind of lean into just the cultural norms, but the family specifically.
And if I can add that's a great point, because also we need to be mindful of the disease, right, itself that we are working with, especially Alzheimer's. I know working in this space, there's a stigma sometimes amongst, right, different communities. So being aware of that stigma and making sure, like you said, they're feeling informed and educated, right, about what we're trying, the actual, I guess, clinical trial, but then overall about the actual disease itself. But I just wanted to make one point too. It's very important for sponsors to ensure that the informed consent is in the language. That that's one of the challenges we see, that the informed consent is not translated into the language that we're trying to recruit for until after the study is started. And I think it's so important to have it translate at the very beginning of start of the trial as opposed to in the middle of the trial. I
Absolutely.
think that goes a long
That's a
way,
must.
right? That's a must. That is a must. Yes.
That was very great. And I'm over here taking notes, and I'll just kind of sum up some of the key points that I heard. Knowing something about diversity, knowing just a little bit, being aware of the stigma, learn those keywords in the languages you encounter. That's going to help to build trust. And just ask, ask about the hesitations. We always grew up knowing that there were no stupid questions, so just ask and show that you care. I love that. Thank you all for that. Okay, last scenario, guys. A qualified participant is interested in your trial, but mentions transportation issues and inability to take time off work. What creative solutions have you implemented to address these practical barriers?
Uber. Just kidding. Oh, by the way, do they need a doctor's note?
Yeah, definitely Uber has moved into that Uber health realm. So, those resources are more readily available.
So coming from the sponsor side, I think, most of the studies that we used to do, I always encourage the clinical operations team to ensure that there is a service that will kind of take that off the table, that transportation is never an issue. So they will always send somebody to go get them or reimburse their Uber rides or whatever, and I think a lot of the studies now do take that to heart and make sure that transportation is never a showstopper. Obviously, if they're taking time off of work to be part of your study, we need to compensate for that. And so if they cannot do it, be creative. Like, okay, is the site open on a Saturday or a different time? Just work it out with the patient. I mean, if they're interested enough to be a participant in the study, that's the least that we could do to try and figure it and work it out with them, right?
I'd just say one thing we have done is utilize mobile research units to meet people where they're at, to go to them, to be able to do a visit on that the mobile unit, and we were able to draw blood and do cognitive assessments. So I think it's important too to also meet them where they're at as well.
I think that's one of the best like the things that came out of COVID and
COVID, I know it's the mobile.
I know mobile units are amazing. I mean, I think there's
Yeah.
more and more things that these mobile units
Mhm.
they're capable of now. And so like and Gap is amazing. Like you guys are innovating a lot of things that are hopefully get, copy and pasted in other situations and other indications as well. So
Especially when you consider the aging population. That's super helpful for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add in there, Samis?
No, I was just Dr. Pat said it. Pack said it. I was thinking extending hours. Maybe one day a week having an extended hour, or a Saturday. Being thinking outside of the box for people who absolutely cannot take off, but are willing to come a little later. But the mobile, yeah, that's just right on point. Take it to them. And that's really innovative, and that's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, I remember during COVID when everything was shut down, we did our pre-screens through video chat. It was a HIPAA compliant video chat, and so everything was closed, but we were still doing pre-screens. It was just through video having that conversation. So that worked. It was also good for folks who live far away and they would otherwise never drive to your place because of the distance, but they'll be willing to come on a video screen just to have a chat with you and learn about clinical research. And if it looks like they may be a good candidate, then you send Uber to pick them up for that visit.
Just curious, Dr. Trim, would that be a paid pre-screen visit or okay?
Yeah, it's not they're not part of a study yet, but they were just having a chat to see if they may be a candidate.
Okay, very good. Any last thoughts, panelists? I'm gonna close us out with a couple of wrap-up questions that I want to pose to the audience. So what's one new strategy you'll implement after today's discussion? Feel free to come off camera or come off mic or pop your question in the chat. I'm gonna put these two questions in the chat. And then also, how can we better support each other in advancing diversity in clinical trials? So feel free to pose your thoughts. Thank you for the people who've been already participating in the chat. But have you been introduced to a new strategy that you'll carry on or?
I see Siotin's question about the mobile units. So we've used mobile units. We're able to do the full assessments and scales We're also able to draw blood for the study, but we haven't done infusions. That's more of a in-office treatment or home health. But most of the assessments is doable inside the mobile units, including the lab draw.
Yep. Yep. We have the centrifuge and everything to spin the blood down and everything. But yeah, we haven't done infusions.
Thank you, Dr. Trent. That's great. So you're able to do the scales, the radars are on the mobile unit as well.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
How many patients or potential participants can you actually go through for each of the mobile unit visits?
I did a church lecture, my usual 3 hour.
Yeah, okay.
And Lily sent a mobile unit to the church, and we signed consent for 16 people right there on the spot.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, on the spot, we signed consent for 16, drew their blood and all that. So it's very doable.
That's great.
Yeah.
I see Trisha's comment in the chat saying that collaboration is key. I'd love to, Trisha, if you want to come off camera, in what area do you work in and how do you see collaborating?
Hi. Right now, I'm in rheumatology and I just started my own company, Integrative Healthcare Trials. And I think my gut is leaning me towards going back into cardiology. I'm actually doing this by myself for now. I'm in Naples, and the community I'm looking at is out in Immokalee, which is part of Collier County, but it's got a really rich, diverse population, and it is a healthcare desert out there. The closest hospital is 45 minutes away. So if you're in active labor, you have 45 minutes ahead of you. And that scares me. I mean, it scares anybody with any common sense. So I think in order for us to succeed, we all need to help each other out, share common practices. I know of a Lilly trial that's doing this disease, and I think you could be a good person, good fit for it. I think that's for the foreseeable future. That's the way we need to go.
I love that. So what do you think could help that community that's in that health desert?
What I would like to do, and you touched on it earlier, is I would love to, in my mind, I'm probably going to open up a research site, either work with a PI who is already out there that has an interest, or start a small research site. And that's probably about 2 years from now. Because right now I'm still getting out there, talking to anybody who's willing to listen to me. Next month, I'm giving it's called Interagency. I don't know if you guys have them in California. The one in Naples is more senior driven. The one in Immokalee is more people driven. I call it cradle to grave. It covers everything: healthcare, legal issues, policing, the whole gamut. It's pretty interesting. And I'm speaking out there next month. So it's going to be a lot of what research is and what it is not.
Well, I love your work and, definitely appreciate your input and insights. And definitely we might love to even have a collaboration call to see how we could partner as well.
Absolutely. I love that.
Definitely. Well, if no one has any further thoughts or questions, we're gonna wrap up our fireside chat just on time. Thank you all to our amazing panelists for giving us your insights and your thoughts. I've personally learned some things, so thank you. I'll give you my clap.
Everyone.
Okay. So I'm gonna invite Dr. Wren up for some closing remarks and announcements before we end our program for tonight.
Thank you guys. Yes, that was a very rich conversation. Love the ideas, love the strategies. I think all of this is what it's going to take for us to, really see some change. We've known about this issue for a little while now, right? All of us that's been in this field. And we haven't really seen much change. So we got a lot of work to do. So we will continue to have events like this and bring people like you together so we can continue the conversation, and not just continue the conversation, but put those conversations to action, because I think that's the piece that might be missing, right? Like we've been talking about this for a long time, and so it's time to really put things to work and try what we can. And all of us are so creative, and we know our communities, and we know what it's going to take to reach them. So we have to come together and do that. We really appreciate your time. And so as we wrap up today's event, I just want to take the moment to say thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you to our incredible panelists, speakers, dear directors for Diverse Research Now. Definitely cannot do this work without you. So thank you so much. And to each of you who took the time to connect and learn and contribute to this important conversation tonight about diversity in clinical research. Thank you. At Diverse Research Now, we believe that building trust and fostering relationships is the foundation of equitable research. Today's networking event is just one step in that journey. The real work happens when we take what we've learned and apply it, like I just said. We will continue these conversations in our communities and advocate for inclusive research practices and support one another in this mission. So I encourage you all to stay connected, whether that means collaborating with someone you met tonight or sharing our resources. Please, you can, we have a pretty active website. You can always go there, and we try to share as many resources on there as possible. Or if you want to reach out to discuss how we can work together, or if you want to be a sponsor to one of our events, our collective efforts are what will drive meaningful change in clinical research and healthcare equity. So we want you guys to save the date for our Spring into Action fundraising gala. We would love to see you all there in our second annual Community Clinical Trial Health Forum. That again is happening May 16th and 17th of this year in San Diego, California. We also left in the chat information on how to be a guest on our podcast. If you want to sit down and talk to me and really dive into this topic and share your insights on our platform, please do complete that guest form. I believe Dina left it in the note in the chat. Also, our LinkedIn, we try to share on there as much as possible. So please follow us on LinkedIn. It might be how you all might have found out about us today, our event today, but we'll continue to post everything there. And so I truly appreciate your participation, and I look forward to seeing how we can continue to making an impact. So thank you all again, and I hope you all have a great rest of your night. And we'll end early.
Good night, everyone. This was
Thanks,
beautiful.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
A good one.